What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about 5 basketball shoes that are not talked about enough in my personal opinion. And without further ado, let's start with the first pair, which is going to be the New Balance Fresh Foam BB Volume 3. Don't let that long name scare you, this is one hell of a performer. They retail for 130 euros or dollars, which is relatively low considering all the tech you're getting in this shoe. The traction performance is absolutely phenomenal. The wave-like traction pattern has a very loud squeak and an incredibly hard bite. And a very nice thing about this shoe is that dust does not affect the outsole and not affect the traction performance. So this is really a great pair if you play on very dusty courts a lot of times. And even though the traction performance is already really good, my favorite thing about the shoe by far is the insanely comfortable cushioning setup. It's a dual density setup of Fresh Foam X, and I believe it's also regular Fresh Foam. By taking a look at the outsole, you can see that we have a little pod here on the outside we can actually press, which is kind of the inner layer of the foam. So there's an outer layer, and then in the middle you can also see it through the outsole. It's got a different color and also different density, hence the dual density setup. And you can press it, it's really soft, and in general you can see the shoe has an insane amount of compression, especially in the heel. You are a little bit high off the ground, that's a minus point for sure, but it's not to a point where I felt unstable or where I felt like I was going to roll my ankle. So while you don't really have good court feel, you're still not to a point where it's a crazy high off the ground cushioning setup like the GT Hustle 3. The materials are all synthetic, but they're padded very nicely, especially in the heel area and on the tongue. So there's no issues there, no laces cutting into your feet, no excess material cutting anywhere into your ankle area. Even though it's a mid-top, it works really well, and just overall an incredibly comfortable shoe. We've got an internal heel counter and a shank plate, which you can also see through the outsole of the shoe, which does a good job in terms of torsional support. As you can see, a very stiff setup. Only the toe area flexes. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. And overall, this is an amazing pair. Also the design, 10 out of 10. So shout out to New Balance. They've been on a roll lately with their shoes. I thought about putting the Hezy Low and the Two-Way Volume 5 here as well, but I just like the other pairs a little bit more and wanted to talk about those as well. Speaking of another shoe, the Puma Halley 1 is also underrated in my personal opinion. They come in at the same retail price as the Fresh Foam BB Volume 3, 130 euros or dollars. The traction performance is phenomenal. A full-length herringbone pattern on this colorway, it's translucent. It works wonders, really a perfect stop on a clean court, and also still very good if there is dust. Just make sure to wipe, but to be honest, every basketball player does that anyways. The cushioning setup is pretty comfortable, but it does take some time to break them in properly. In my opinion, there's more shock absorption and impact protection than there is bounce. So it's not something like a setup that will propel you forward like crazy, even though there is a very large shank plate. Amazing torsional support also if you do the flex test here. As you can see, incredibly stiff, one of the stiffest shoes in my rotation. They almost don't flex, so it definitely takes some time to break them in, also for the cushioning. This pair is hardly worn because the first pair I had was a size too big as they were so loud. So now I got a real pair in my real size, but just haven't had the opportunity to wear them yet. Main reason is because I have to do a small surgery next week because of a chronic illness that's kind of kept me on and off the court for the past 2 months. So I'm really looking forward to that. And don't worry, there's going to be pre-recorded videos. That was a little off topic. Back to the Halley 1s. The upper is the last thing we're going to talk about. Mesh and textile upper, it works well, almost no break-in time. The fit is decent for wide feet, same goes for the Fresh Foam BB Volume 3. And the next shoe I want to talk about is a little bit cheaper, as they come in at around 100 euros or dollars if you use my discount code LucasSimora10 at Way of Weight. The Weight Shadow 7. I really like the Shadow 6 already, but they lack torsional support, which was a bigger issue for me as I'm someone who needs very supportive shoes, especially in the midfoot area. Here they improved on that. One thing that is definitely a downside for them is that they don't use Tough RB, which is Way of Weight's outdoor rubber setup. So these are not the best option for outdoors, but I think they still work and they're still better than some other European brands or the rubber that European brands use. The traction performance on indoor courts is actually also very good, but it's just not as durable as what you're used to from Way of Weight. The cushioning setup is very nice, especially considering the price. Full length boom and light foam ultra, so also a dual cushioning setup. Very rare that you see that in a budget basketball shoe, because most of the times you just get foam in there. And if you're lucky, you maybe get a Zoom unit or some more premium cushioning from other brands. But here we actually have 2 cushioning setups, which is just very nice, and the reason why they're here on this list. I just don't hear people talk about them as much as I think they should do. mainly also because Way of Weight has got so many great performers, these tend to get overlooked, but that's exactly the topic of this video, so I want to talk about them. I mentioned the torsional support is improved. As you can see, they still flex, but it takes way more effort to actually twist and turn them and to bend them. And you've got good supportive features, namely a very long TPU shank plate that almost goes from the heel all the way to the front of your foot. The materials are very thin, it's a fabric-like upper, and what's cool is that it's reinforced in certain high wear and stress areas. So even though the outsole is not as durable as we're used to, the upper definitely is. So in my opinion, you can still take them outdoors, but they probably won't hold up if you use them on a daily basis on a concrete court. The fit is actually also okay for wide footers, which is always nice, but I do recommend that you go up half a size if you have very wide feet, or maybe look for another model from Way of Weight. The last two shoes I've talked about a lot on my channel already, but I still think they're underrated because I just don't think they get enough praise. The first pair being the Dawn issue 7. Nightwing from Wörthersee had them as his second best basketball shoe of the year, if I'm not mistaken, so he gave them a lot of praise and I definitely agree with him. I had them at number 1. I hadn't tried the Way of Weight 12 yet. Those would have kicked them off the top spot, but it's an overall amazing performer. I actually just had them on court today, another colorway that I have. The traction performance is very, very good. Just make sure to wipe if you're on very dusty courts, as it can get kind of inconsistent if there's a lot of dust on the court. The cushioning setup is my favorite thing about this shoe. You've got a really, really thick slab of Light Strike Pro throughout the whole outsole and midsole. And in the heel, you've got great impact protection, while in the forefoot, you're lower to the ground, which is exactly the setup I love. It's just a good mix of impact protection and court feel, responsiveness, still being on balance and not too high off the ground. The support features are also very good, as we've got a very interesting shank plate that kind of wraps onto the side of the shoe on both sides. And of course, that also makes for a kind of disconnected outsole. The materials have one big downside, which is breathability, but my recommendation for that is that you keep this little zipper open, because it does absolutely nothing for support or stability if it's closed. It's just for a style reference. I actually think it looks better if it's open anyways, and the shoe is a little bit more breathable. My favorite support feature of the shoe is definitely that the last lace loop doesn't go straight down, as they're connected with flywire like cables, but it goes to the back of the shoe, which eliminates heel slip that a lot of people experienced on the Dawn issue 6. The fit is snug at first, but it breaks in nicely, so I recommend you go true to size with your Adidas size. And the retail price, I forgot to mention that, 120 euros or dollars, which is also a really good price. And by the way, all non-Way of Weight shoes you can get at Kicks. If you use my discount code Lucas, you save 5%. And now finally, for the last pair in this video, the ones following me for a long time have probably guessed it already. It's the Nike Book 1, my all-time favorite basketball shoe, and a criminally underrated basketball shoe in my personal opinion, as it's an amazing performer and a lot of people stay away from them just because of the looks of the shoe and some concerns about torsional support and especially stability while being too high off the ground. First things first, the traction performance, full length herringbone pattern, available in translucent and solid rubber setups. The translucent ones work great indoors, the solid rubber is even durable enough for outdoors and provides a very reliable and strong bite on clean and dusty courts. My favorite thing about the shoe is the cushioning setup, full length Cushlon 3.0 and a thick air zoom unit in the heel, just how I like it, low and stable in the forefoot with great impact protection in the heel. The materials are a bit of a topic as they come in leather and non-leather colorways, and also for the non-leather there's different canvas uppers or denim-like uppers. I've tried all of them. I stay away from the leather shoes now because I'm vegan and I don't only implement that on my diet but also on my general lifestyle. So about a year ago I stopped testing basketball shoes that have leather materials. For the pairs that have synthetic uppers, I prefer them anyways because they're lighter and more breathable. There's not really that big of a difference between the canvas uppers and the denim-like uppers. The only thing that I noticed is that the canvas uppers can take a little bit longer to break in and they can be really, really stiff, especially the Desert Camo colorway. I don't know why, but this one took way longer to break in for me. The rest was pretty similar once they're broken in. Usually it doesn't take as long, but just for that colorway, I don't know why, but it took a while. They're very comfortable, soft, mold to your feet very nicely. One thing you definitely have to watch out for is the sizing. I recommend you go half a size up as they run short. And if you go half a size or even a full size up, depending on how wide your feet are, they're a perfect pair for wide mid-footers. And now the topic that most people are afraid of with this shoe is the support. You actually have a small plastic shank plate that works wonders. I don't know how they did it, but it's very, very stiff. I've worn this pair a lot. It's very beat down already. The outsole is already coming off on this side. and you can still see it still has great torsional support here in the middle and also from side to side. We've got a heel counter, and the lacing system also works really well. There's adequate padding so the laces don't cut into your feet, and overall it's just an amazing basketball shoe, and I can highly recommend you give them a try, especially now since the Book 2 is out and I haven't heard great things about those. Looking forward to trying a pair when they come out in Europe. Plus, you can get the Book 1 on a big discount right now at a lot of retailers. As I said, check out Kicks and use my code Lucas for a discount, or if you want to cop the Wade Shadow 7, use the code LucasSimona10. With all that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to let me know if I missed any pairs. One pair that I thought about is the Jordan Air, but because it released so long ago and I don't really see that many new colorways coming out, I thought I wouldn't put them in the video because I want to focus on basketball shoes that you guys can actually still buy at the moment. As I said, that's all I have for you today. Let me know if I missed anything, comment down below for the algorithm as well. Leave a like on the video, and of course, what I would really appreciate is if you could subscribe to my channel. Have a good one and see you next time.